you're in the market for a large 3-row family SUV with all the bells and whistles, but you don't want to pay luxury car prices, well, you may want to look at a 2023 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphy. Once you sit inside, you'd swear you're inside a Genesis or a Lexus or a BMW. The inside is simply amazing, and so are the features you'll find inside this Palisade. Now, for 2023, Hyundai did refresh the Palisade, so you get even more. So how good is this refreshed Palisade from Hyundai, and is it the right SUV for you? Well, keep watching and find out. So the first thing I want to talk about is the luxurious and mind-blowing interior cabin to this new Palisade Calligraphy. The inside is so good, you really think that this is a luxury SUV. Take a look at these beautiful door panels. Look at the perforated leather and the stitching on the door panels matching with the beautiful wood trim. And look at the beautiful covers to this Harman Kardon speaker. And then look at the front seats and look at the way they're designed, the way they look. You'd swear you're inside a luxury car. And look at the beautiful dash and center console. The dash has a really nice elegance to it. I love the way the vents kind of swoops from one side to the other. Of course, you have those large screens. That's not unusual these days. But the way it just fits into the dash looks nice. I also like this brand new steering wheel. It has been refreshed for 2023. Again, it has that elegant vibe. Also reminds me of the steering wheels you find inside a Genesis. But it's a really unique 2-spoke design, and it just simply looks good. And also, let's not forget that floating console in the middle where you have access to everything you need, including your climate controls, your shifting, also your driving modes, and of course all the little features that you get inside this Calligraphy. Now, this beautiful cabin means nothing if you don't get a ride that matches this luxuriousness. Fortunately, you do, because this Palisade Calligraphy is soaking up all the bumps so beautifully, even with its large 20-inch wheels. It's like you're floating on a cloud. It's so soft, so smooth. With these local roads, man, it just feels so good. Hyundai went all out with this Palisade. And what complements this really nice, comfortable ride is this beautiful steering. Steering feel is on point. It has just the right amount of feedback, right amount of weight. The steering precision is also good, even though there's a little bit of steering play. It's not as precise as, say, a steering found in an EV car, but it's pretty good. Now, even though the powertrain didn't get refreshed, I think it's okay, because this 3.8 liter V6 under the hood does a marvelous job. Horsepower is around 291. Torque is a little bit lower, but you get plenty of power. You're not gonna feel like you don't have enough. And plus, this beautiful transmission is always in the right gear. You don't feel like you're bogged down. So many modern cars these days, the transmission makes you feel like you're bogged down when you're just cruising along. Not the case. This transmission is so on point and shifts so butterly smooth. You have no idea if it's upshifting or downshifting. And the engine is good overall. Now, the engine itself is a little bit loud, especially if you're outside. You hear this ticking noise. But inside, Hyundai insulated the interior cabin so much, and even under the hood, that you really don't hear anything from the engine. It's just basically silent. Now, if you floor it, you hear a little bit of that exhaust, but overall, Hyundai really went all out with insulation, and you don't hear any of that loudness from under the hood. And of course, when you're driving around, it's just like you're in a luxury car. It's so quiet. It's so quiet. The throttle feel, the brake feel are absolutely on par as well. I really can't complain about the drive. A lot of times I could say, well, the brakes are twitchy, or the throttle is too strong, or too much mushiness. No, There's none of that. Hyundai did such a good job with the drive and interior. It's really quite amazing. Now, in case you're not aware, the Palisade is a 3-row SUV and it's among the biggest in this class. Some would categorize this as a full-size SUV because it is huge inside. So let's start out with cargo room. If you look behind the power tailgate, you can see even with a 3rd row up, you have a good amount of space, and underneath you have a good amount of hidden storage as well. All positives. Also, you have a set of switches on the left side to fold down your 3rd row and your 2nd row. And once you do that, look at how everything is now flush and you get maximum cargo room, and we're talking about quite a lot behind the 1st row. Now, to get into the 3rd row, you could slip in between the captain chairs, which are standard with the calligraphy, or you could simply press a button and the seat folds forward and you get plenty of space to go in the back. And me being 5'10", I could still fit in the 3rd row, even though the seats are a little bit low to the ground. But for the most part, I would say adults could fit back there okay. I have plenty of headroom too, over 2 inches, leg room. I have enough if you push it up a little bit. Overall, 3rd row is big enough for adults, for short trips, and of course big enough for kids. And something new for this year is the 3rd row actually gets heated seats. Heated seats for the 3rd row. Even in most luxury SUVs, you do not get that option. Think about that. Now, moving to the 2nd row, the seats are as beautiful as the 1st row. Really big, plenty of space all around. You get climate control, heated and ventilated seats, sunshades. You get your own giant panoramic sunroof on top, and there's 2 of them inside this Palisade. Up front too, plenty of space, plenty of headroom, plenty of shoulder room, hip room. You're just getting a whole bunch of space inside. I did say at the beginning of this video, if you're looking for a 3-row SUV with all the bells and whistles, that's exactly what this Palisade is. It does have all the bells and whistles. Now, something new for 2023 is Wi-Fi hotspot capability. That is now built in, so very nice for long road trip and for the kids. Now, the usual stuff like heated ventilated seat, heated steering wheel, blind spot view monitoring, memory seats, driving modes, 2 huge screens, heads-up display, a digital rear-view mirror. These are all standard, at least inside this calligraphy. But again, most of these features you won't even find in the upper trims of other SUVs in this class, but you get them inside a Palisade. There's something else new for 2023 labeled Ergo Motion Seat, which is basically a poor man's version of a massage seat for the driver. It's meant to move around your lumbar support and move around the cushion so that you don't get fatigued after long periods of driving. So you could set it 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or off, right? But basically you're getting massage seats as well. And speaking of seats, both the driver and passenger, there's infinite ways to configure your seats. Even though when I hopped in, I found it to be very comfortable already. I didn't have to adjust it much. So the seat cushions, the bolstering is quite nice, but you can adjust it like 1,000 different ways if you wanted to. The 2 large screens that you get inside, well, you get a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. That was on the previous Palisade, but this one has been refreshed with higher resolution. I can't really tell, it still looks the same to me, but I'll take Hyundai's word for it that it has been upgraded. So of course with digital gauge cluster, everything is digital and you can still see your usual stuff. And it's quite nice, but it works really well with that blind spot view. So when you want to make a turn left or right, it shows up in the gauge cluster. That's nice. Also, this large 10.3-inch infotainment screen, still among the best. It's very easy to use. It's very responsive. Resolution is quite high, and it allows you to control everything. Everything. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, your media, your settings, your digital key. Yes, you could use your phone as a digital key as well. I mean, literally everything could be controlled in there. There's 5 different driving modes in case you wanted to know. Of course, there's a snow mode, but there's a smart mode, there's a sport mode, there's a comfort mode. Also, you can lock your center differential, and that's important in case you want to go off-road, in case you get stuck in the snow, right? you also get that as well. So is there anything bad about this Palisade? Everything I've been gushing over in terms of how good it is. Are there anything bad that I could talk about? Well, there's a few things. I can nitpick on the number of USB ports. Third row only gets one on either side. In the second row, you get one on either side, even though that should be plenty, but a lot of cars have way more USB ports. So I can nitpick on the USB ports. Also, I can nitpick on the exterior look, which has changed for 2023. The front end is so filled with grille. You don't know where it starts, where it ends. Even the headlights look like they're filled with grille, and it's not for everyone. Even though the old Palisade was already in your face, this is more so in your face, so much so it almost looks like a transformer. And the headlight positions are towards the bottom, like in the middle of the bumper area, so it's a weird look. It's not even futuristic. It's just really funky and weird. So looks are subjective. So you could either like the brand new look or you could hate it. So I'm just going to nitpick on that because I would say it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't look as good as some of the luxury cars out there. But for some of you guys, you may like it. Now, something else I could nitpick on are some of the buttons inside, like your memory seat buttons, also your media buttons, some of the other buttons for your radio and various things in here. They're not covered in aluminum, unlike the beautiful window switches or the beautiful buttons on your steering wheel or even your push button start. Those are gorgeous. Unfortunately, not every button in here is covered in aluminum, so I'm just going to nitpick on that. As for pricing, there are 5 trim levels to the brand new Hyundai Palisade. The base, the SE, starts right around $36,000. This is including the destination charge. Then you have the SEL, which is right under $40,000. Then you have a brand new XRT model, which is more rugged, and it starts right around $42,000. Then you have the luxurious limited around $48,000. And finally, you have the range topping calligraphy, which is what I'm driving today, and it's right around $50,000. So here are my final thoughts about this brand new Palisade Calligraphy. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you're looking for a 3-row SUV with all the bells and whistles and you don't want to pay luxury car prices, well, this SUV is it. It's really amazing what Hyundai pulled off. Inside definitely feels like a luxury car. It looks, it smells, it feels like a luxury car. So there's a few small nitpicks I mentioned, not deal breakers, but there is one deal breaker, and that is the exterior look. I do think the front end alone can turn off a lot of buyers. I think it's just way too out there, and it's not for everyone. So because of that, I do think some people will be turned off. But overall, this is a fantastic SUV, among the best I've ever tested. So if you're in the market, you should definitely go check one out. You won't be disappointed. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for my future review videos. Take care. Bye-bye.